What's good, everybody? Andrew Foxy here from Underground. We got a very special guest. First time we're ever getting on camera doing an interview with Brian of Rapzines. How you doing, Brian?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing good, man.
We're doing really good.
In the 805 with it.
Yeah, in Camarillo. Shout out to Sonically Inclined Studios, Foxy Retro, everybody at Sonically Inclined for having us, even though we went way over time. Shout out you guys. But just to give a little context, right? Rapzines is what I would think is the biggest hard copy rap magazine collection that exists anywhere in the world. And we're lucky enough to have that be an 805 based thing, right? In Salinas area, kind of in that northern 805 area.
It's so crazy, just like ironic even, because I feel like the 805 doesn't get its love really in terms of hip hop too much. Like it's kind of like a slept on area, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
so it's ironic.
You really think about it, like if you're from the Bay Area or you're from LA, those are like the big points. So everything in between doesn't get its due as much as
right.
Yeah.
Areas, you know?
How did you get into hip hop? What was like your original introduction to hip hop and some of your like first artists you were listening to?
Well, if I tell you that, you're gonna know how old I am.
Yeah.
But, when I was young, my brother came back. I had heard hip hop before. You know, we had like before my time, there was like Run DMC was out and Houdini, LL Cool J, and all this stuff. But my brother came back from college. He was going to school in it's called Williams College in Boston, and he came back with a Public Enemy tape.
Yeah.
And I was like, Public Enemy, and it's like hardcore, really like, I don't know how to explain it, but it wasn't something I was used to like to hear. I was used to hearing what was on the radio, and at that time a lot of like new wave was on, pop music, Michael Jackson, whatever it was. So to hear them speak on there and rap and the beats by Terminator X, it just instantly hooked me. And then I was just like, it was just like it was something that lit up in me that I was just like, I don't know what this is, what's going on here.
Yeah.
And from that point on is where I really started like digging into stuff. Like I want to know more. I want to hear other artists. So that was really the focal point of me starting to listen to hip hop music and falling in love with it.
Were you kind of like a one-off, like, or were other people in your school and your friend group also into this, or were you kind of the guy that was like obsessed with it?
I think it was just me at the time, to be honest. I mean, we were all at that age, like we would break dance and pop and do all this kind of stuff, like hip hop related stuff, you know, like, but I just was fascinated by the lyrics and by the struggle, the black struggle too. That was one of the things Public Enemy was like, you know, talking about slavery and things that were going on with the government. And I was just like, at that age, without the internet, and you're hearing this, you're like, what's going on here? You know, you're young kids still learning stuff, you know?
It's not the type of shit they were publicizing.
Exactly.
So these were the people who were kind of speaking about it at that time and making it vocal. Exactly.
And so, like, it really interested me, and I really wanted to hear more. And, like, I grew up in a predominantly Hispanic neighborhood. It was the east side of Salinas, where it's like, you know, things happen there, you know, and we all kind of gravitated to it because it's like we see struggle in a different way, but still a struggle. Mm-hmm. And a lot of like the early hip hop was talking about the come up, about the struggle, about things, political stuff. So it was something that you can kind of relate to in a different way. And I just fell in love with it. And the beats were, and then NWA came out, and that was
took
like
it over.
pretty much it.
Yeah, just Dre, Cube, Easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like undeniable at that point.
Oh yeah. You know, and I remember we were playing basketball out on the concrete school over at Fremont School, which is one of the elementary schools, and the homie rides into the school like where the blacktop is, in his car, and he's bumping "F the police." And we're like, you can't say that on record. Like, you know, it was like wild to us being that young to hear something like that.
Yeah.
And we're like, wow, this is like revolutionary.
Right.
You know, and so between that, listening to Public Enemy, and then starting to expand to other music, hearing even the dance stuff that was out at the time was like, it's cool. You can break to this stuff too. So it really pulled me into where I was like, okay, I'm into this.
What about like when do you remember the first time like you picked up a rap magazine, or at least the first one you kept or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I had a few that were hip hop adjacent. Like they used to have like a Word Up magazine and Fresh magazine, but at that time they were more catered toward R&B. They were kind of. It's funny to go back now and think about it, but rap was a little dangerous and risque to put on the covers or like to put them out there. So they were like, they had like Bobby Brown on the cover or like Janet Jackson, Jody Watley, all these R&B artists, but they didn't even want to put like, you know, like Eric B and Rakim or LL Cool J on the cover. That was like, we don't really mess with rap like that, which is funny because those magazines actually incorporated them for a little while and then became almost like a full hip hop magazine at the end of their run of magazines.
But
so I had those before. I had like New Edition on the cover or, you know, Michael Jackson on the cover. So if you consider those hip hop magazines, kind of, but not really. Mm-hmm. But one day I was going to go buy some CDs at a place called Sam Goody. They don't have them anymore, I'm assuming. Have you ever heard of Sam Goody?
I've never heard of it. It's like a
the warehouse. The warehouse. So these are like places, Tower Records, all these places that used to be big.
Yeah, I've heard of Tower Records.
Yeah, so Tower was the last one to get out. I think they only have one in Japan now, and there's no more. But that was big business, you know, with the music industry. You had to have a CD or a tape or whatever. So
of course.
I went to a Sam Goody at the mall, and in the cashier in the front register, they had racks with like magazines on there, and one of them was a Source on there.
Yeah.
And it had Flavor Flav, and then we go back to Public Enemy, what we're talking about. Flavor Flav and Chuck D were on the cover, and I'm like, I have to have this, even just so I can pin it up on my wall or something.
Yeah.
I took it home, and since the Source was a new East Coast magazine, I was hearing about all these artists that I had never heard over here.
Like who?
From,
like anyone specific?
Well, not in that specific issue, but like stuff like there were groups like that were not fully popular, but like there was a group called Smith and Wesson and like the Boot Camp Clique and all these guys. And I read like the reviews on their albums, and I'm like, oh, these guys must be dope. Their reviews are really good of the album. So then I would have to go back into Sam Goody, buy the CD, and then I'd listen to it. And that kind of trained me where this is how I figure out new music. I have to get these magazines and go in here and be like, okay, oh, who's this guy? Oh, he has a dope story here. Let me go look for his music. And I did the same thing with my magazine. So when I got that magazine, I took it home. I read it from front to back, every page, advertisements, you know. That was the first time I saw like Timberland boots. I'm like, they wear these on the East Coast?
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
And so like all that kind of stuff, the fashion wear, the articles, the music, and it just became something that was like, I want to know more. I want to know more. So that was like the real, what I could recollect, you know, as being like the real beginning of collecting them at that point.
And who would you say like is like one of your favorites, like just top 5, whatever you would want to list out of just like artists from like, even if you had to pick, like let's kind of go by like eras, you know, like give me some of your favorites from each era maybe or something, you know.
Well, from the original era when I was like really, really young, there was 2 artists. One was Kool Moe Dee and a guy named Kwame, which is so funny because that dude, he was known for wearing black, like, how do you say it, like a black collared shirt, but it would have white polka dots all over it. And he had that cut, I don't know what it's called, the Gumby they used to call it, because it goes this way, with like a line through it. I bought one of those shirts. It was like the dumbest shirt, but like, I saw it.
You still have it? You still have it or what?
No, I think I wore it.
You should have worn it today.
To me, it was dope at the time, but now I look back and I'm like, a white polka dot shirt. Like but he wore it in his videos, and I was like, I really loved his music. And Kool Moe Dee, he had a song called Wild Wild West, and I was like, oh, we're on the West, you know. So I really, even though I think he's from the East Coast, but the song is called Wild Wild West. So from that era, really them and Public Enemy. I mean, we already spoke about Public Enemy, but they were like life changing for me. I went to their first concert with a group called Anthrax.
Wow.
And they were like a heavy metal band. No, what is it called? I think it's called like thrash metal or speed metal. And they did a song together. So the concert in Oakland had Public Enemy fans there, and they had these Anthrax fans there, where they're like making mosh pits and
everyone's
stuff.
mixing.
Like how they did the Wu-Tang and Rage Against the Machine.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Like,
so you see all these different people there, like coming to listen to music together. So from that era, I would say them, but Public Enemy is like number one there. Come up a little bit more, it became like NWA, and then
was that even 90s yet? NWA?
NWA
it's like
was
90,
early
90s.
90s,
88 to 92.
Yeah.
And growing up, Ice Cube, when he went solo for about 3 albums, were like just incredible albums to me, you know. And so I think Ice Cube was one during that time. And once we got out of there and got close to the 90s, DMX has always been a big one. Nipsey, since his mixtapes, Nipsey Hussle was always like one of my favorites.
TMC, Marathon Continues, original tape was legendary.
Yeah.
Crenshaw. My favorite Nip tape is Mailbox Money. That's just a random one. You know, but he's got a lot of work, man.
It's just incredible. Like his especially to see where he went from. Like if you were like what you're saying, you listen to his mixtapes and you're like, man, this guy is dope. You know?
Yeah, I mean, even on the original, the Marathon mixtape, he had that song Blue Laces that's on Victory Lap that he like brought back. So like his whole career is so full circle.
Song too. That one,
is like Blue Laces is legendary. So Nip is obviously a little later on.
Oh yeah, that's like, 2000s right there.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Let's talk 90s.
90s.
I'm really excited to talk 90s hip hop.
Too Short has been a big part too because. He was on one of the original Source magazines that I got also.
Okay.
And he's from the Bay Area. He's from Oakland.
Yeah.
His story I had read in there, and his music was just like one of the things I learned during that time in the early 90s is that a lot of the difference between the music in the 90s was the East Coast was very lyrical.
Yeah.
But their beats were very jazzy and like kind of like smooth. In the West Coast, it was more like the lyrics weren't as like, they weren't lyrical gymnastics, you know, they weren't jumping around doing all this crazy stuff, but the beats were hitting really hard.
Yeah,
and it was because of car
shit.
culture. You know, we had car culture out here. They're on the subway, so they want to hear something like that. And so I never really got the mix because I love both sides. And Too Short was like complete opposite of somebody like Jay-Z on the other end, you know, like his beats were just like, I would put them in my Honda Accord. I had two 15s in the trunk with my amp and my equalizer, and you could just
knocking.
You could just hear. You don't even hear Too Short rapping most of the time.
You just hear the bass. Yeah.
But that was like what I grew up on. Like to hear that was car culture too for me. So.
And you were kind of closest to that Bay Area growing up, right?
Like
so that was kind of the biggest city in the range.
Then that's how like you think of like the hyphy movement when like Keep Sneaking E40 and all these guys did that stuff is like hype music. You know, you want to hear something knocking in your car while you're riding.
Right.
And so I think Too Short was a big influence for me as far as like music that I enjoyed. You know, Scarface was another one that was big for me. DMX and Tupac have always been really like right there at the top for me, only because like both of them, the way that they put their music together and the struggle that they talk about sometimes, I could relate to a lot of the stuff that they were talking about.
Yeah.
Whether it was, you know, about their family life, having to move around, or, you know, DMX talks about being at group homes and like just all these struggles with drugs and, you know, different things in life. Like there's something in one of those songs that you can relate to no matter what where you're at in your life, you know. And so
for sure,
during that time, me being wild as a young kid, I'm now very
past. It was the 804 days.
Yeah, now 804 days. Yeah, now I'm like really mellow and everything. But you know, I was young at one point, so I went through some wild times that happened. And so listening to that, I'm like, I hear the struggle in his voice or what he's talking about. I can relate to it.
Yeah, and they're such articulate guys. Both Tupac and DMX are these just like the outspoken, high energy performers and shit.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and it's the same thing like when you think about like a love song. Anybody who's had their heart broken can hear a song and relate to it like, damn.
Right.
I felt that because more people have, had their heart broken than were in gangs. So, you don't really relate all the same to different things. But
for sure,
if you've gotten your heart broken and you hear a good love song about heartbreak, you're going to relate to it. You're going to be like, damn, Yeah. So I think for me, it was always music that I kind of like related to. the thump, so if my car was bumpy, like listening to the struggle, all this stuff. So it really that's always been music to me, is if I can feel it in my heart or my gut or makes me think, it's something that I really enjoy listening to. And then other times you just want to hear something just to mellow out, so
Right.
I think that's the reason why Cube was right on that edge where his music was good, his beats were really good. He talked about social issues, but at the same time he'll have a song about something that is not social.
Yeah.
So he was somebody that I really listened to a lot in the 90s. Man, I can go down the list. I'm just thinking about Nas was big for me too.
Yeah, let's talk some Nas.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Nas album?
I hate to be
Top
normal,
5.
but everything
Illmatic?
off of Illmatic, that's the simplest answer to give. But me growing up during that time, it was so different than what we had heard at that time, and so listening to it was amazing, because you're like, what is this? Whenever you do that with music, you're it's not familiar. It's not taking the same ingredient that other people are going down the line. That means that they're ahead of their times.
Right.
So when you hear that album, you're just they're just doing stuff, the samples, the beats, his rhyming pattern. We haven't seen this before.
Yeah.
So it has to be Illmatic for me. Everything
Gotcha.
on that. There's not even skips on that. But I mean, he has a catalog. I can go all his albums have had great individual songs on it, but that album right there for me is and me growing up during that era makes it that much different.
Yeah, man, big shout out to fucking Nas. Illmatic, Brian was saying, was his favorite project from Nas, which is definitely not a surprise. I feel like Stillmatic is really dope too. Obviously just another time period and everything, but there was a lot of joints on Stillmatic that I like. Wow, Nas has so many joints, but I did want to ask you, Hit Boy, with his collaborations with Hit Boy, what was your favorite out of those 6?
Oh man, there's one that's my favorite that stands out is I don't even know the name of it. I know the hook, but it's I think it's called Car
87
87
off the first King's Disease.
Yeah, I don't know which one it's
Charlie
called.
Wilson on there.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know what it is about that
Yeah.
song, but just everything about it. I love the hook. I love the way it's put together. I like the storytelling within it.
Yeah.
I can write to that thing too.
It's super jazzy and vibey. It's like that old, what you were saying, that old New York tribe kind of feel.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I think my favorite is Magic 1. Just the whole Magic 1 tape. So much good shit on that album. And the first King's Disease. I feel like the first one on both series were just nuts.
Goated.
Yeah.
All that was good. I mean, it's Nas. How can you?
Yeah.
It's something about his delivery that it doesn't even matter how he's doing it. It's going to sound at least decent, even for a bad song. It's going to sound decent.
Right.
Have you seen him performing live? Foxy just saw him pretty recently.
I saw him with the orchestra and everything in Vegas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was so fly, bro.
No.
For my birthday.
It's the funniest thing because everybody I've wanted to see, I've seen in my lifetime except for Nas. For some
Really?
reason, I miss him everywhere. He's been to near my at Cali Roots, which is down in Monterey.
Yeah.
Okay.
He performed there 5-6 years ago. I missed him there. I wasn't able to go.
Damn, bro.
I've missed him even at the Mass Appeal events and stuff.
Yeah.
I missed him twice. I missed him in New York. I missed him in LA by a day. So
We gotta go to a Nas show one day because he has legendary. Who have you seen? Have you seen Biggie, Tupac, or anybody just legendary back in the day or anything?
Not Biggie. Tupac, I saw him as a dancer, and I didn't really recognize him at the time. He was a dancer for Digital Underground.
Yeah.
And so technically I saw him, but I didn't see him, if that makes sense. He was there, but I didn't realize who he was going to become at the time. So I haven't seen him, but I've seen Cube a million times. I've seen, I've seen Snoop. I've seen I've seen everybody that I've wanted to see, everybody that I love. I've gone to the concert since I was a teenager. So
like any of those iconic tour, like what was it, like Up in Smoke tour with Dre and M and Snoop? Like you see anything like that or anything?
Yeah, the funny thing is, I was just thinking about that while I was driving up here because I have ticket stubs, and I was looking at them and I was like, what are my favorite ones out of here? The Public Enemy with Anthrax that I was telling you about.
Yeah.
That's on there. The Up in Smoke tour was just.
Where was that shit?
When was it?
Where and when?
Oakland Coliseum, I believe.
Wow.
And that was amazing because as soon as you get there and Snoop comes on, you just see like everybody smoking in there, and it just looks like it was like they did it on purpose, but it wasn't. You just really up in smoke. That place, you just see it just fog up in that place. Everybody starts lighting up, and that lineup, if you go back and look at it, everybody from the 90s that was iconic during the West Coast
was on there.
Exhibit was there.
Yeah.
Nate Dogg, Eminem,
Dre, Snoop,
Dre, Corrupt, the Dog Pound. You know, like all those were there. It was
Nate Dogg. That's
what about
crazy.
Warren G?
Warren G.
Yeah, Warren G was on his shot. Warren G.
That's my guy.
So
that's such a crazy fuck. That would be the one I'd go back to see.
Oh yeah, that was an amazing one. And the other one I went to was the Hard Knock Life tour, which was the Jay-Z, Ja Rule.
That was that was the fucking the Def Jam.
Yes.
Yeah, they have like a documentary about that. I've seen it.
It was incredible because my favorite part. There was two favorite parts, but one of my favorites was Method Man and Redman were looking at the stage, and the music starts playing. They come from the back of the stadium on, what are those called? The sky?
Like little harnesses.
Yeah.
And they're coming in and they're playing How High. I don't know if you ever heard that song, How High.
Of course.
They come in. They come into the crowd. It comes down. They're picking up blunts and smoking them and then going back up and then coming down. They get on the stage and they finish their set. It was like
they're the best
thing.
performers. I've seen them a couple times, and they're like really good performers. Method Man and Redman,
okay,
legendary duo from the East Coast. That's two of my favorites. Method Man is one of the members of Wu-Tang Clan, and then Redman is like the official 9th member of the Wu-Tang Clan. They say. Yeah,
so I mean that concert, because of that and DMX's performance there, like if you ever go back, I know I think it's whose show is it? There's like this podcast where LeBron and Jay-Z are on it.
It's a barbershop.
The barbershop
he
one.
He speaks about this DMX moment. And when I saw it, we always talked about it, but it had never been out until we heard Jay-Z say it. But DMX comes out and he's just jumping around, taking out his shirt, jumping on stuff, and like having this like crying on stage, just like incredible performance. And so he puts you on this high where he's so hyped. And then he ends it with a prayer, and it gets silent in there, and everybody's just like, you see people like in tears and just like really feeling what he's doing. And Jay-Z talks about it, how he's the first part of the tour. He's like, fuck, how am I supposed to come on after?
Yeah,
after
DMX
this?
is just like so crazy.
That's impossible
I feel
to
with
follow.
Casey family.
Yeah,
Casey families
so
are
we did.
DMX.
We were like, we saw Jay-Z and we were drained. We were just like, hurry up. Like Jay-Z's nobody, which he's not, but like, you can't beat that performance that we just saw. And so it's funny to hear like 20 years later, Jay-Z talk about
explain
what was going on there at that time. He's like, I need to up my game because that just was incredible. You know, so that concert was one of the big ones that I went to. That
tight.
And the Anger Management tour, I think that was Eminem and Ludacris and gosh, I don't know, there was all kinds of people on that.
Damn, bro.
Like,
some of my favorites.
So during this time, right, as you're becoming more and more of a fan into all the different just avenues, worlds of hip hop, like when did you kind of start really having a collection, and like when did you first notice or realize that like your collection was like bigger than most other people, or it was something noteworthy?
I think it happened very organically, to be honest with you, because I was just doing it for myself, and I didn't think about anything except for that. I love the covers. I love going back and reading them, and I just started collecting. And then at one point, it became where I got tired of like hearing about the same artist here, so I like ventured out into different magazines, you know, underground magazines, stuff that wasn't like the norm, that they were talking about other artists. And so I really focused on like Bay Area magazines and different places like down south, and to really understand different stuff. I have like magazines where before Outkast's first album came out, where it's like they're talking about this new group that's coming out. And so I wanted that so that I can learn about all these different artists, and it all had to do with me wanting to hear new artists and learn about them. So it organically happened, but then after a little while, I was just like, I really love these magazines. I'm not going to throw them away. I'm going to just keep them.
Right.
And it was like that for a long time until the internet came around, and I started seeing a couple people who still collected them too. And I'd be like, you want to trade or you want to sell your magazines and all this? But it really didn't turn into how I thought about it until it started going to the exhibits, where I realized other people think it's cool too. It's not just me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because during that time, for like 20 years of collecting, it was like, something's wrong with me. I'm collecting freaking old magazines, like I got an issue going on, but I don't care because I love collecting them. So it is what it is.
Of course.
Who cares if nobody else likes them? But to see other people, as I reached out to meet other people, and then to be in exhibits and stuff like that, I realized, oh, these are important to other people too, not just me.
Right.
And we have the same like ideas. Like there's stuff in here that you can't get online. There's stuff that people want to see. They remember this stuff. Most people threw this stuff away. I hear it every single day. I heard it today on a comment on my post. It was like I had that one back then. I wish I would have never thrown my magazines away.
Right.
So like stuff like that, I realized like it's important that I keep them for not just me, but for everybody else to enjoy, and eventually that's where it's supposed to go to, is where everybody else can enjoy my collection and not just me,
Yeah.
Is it because like if you go on rapzines.com, right? That's the website. Like you have them all listed out. Like I found out from a lot of magazine names from just like your search engine that you have, where you can go through. It's alphabetical order, super easy.
That's great.
It's really dope. When did you decide to put it online like that and have it be like this like online archive?
Again, organically, because when I first got it like 15 years ago, it was old school website. It looked like the Matrix, green and black screen.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's how old it was. And I just put it up there, and it was actually put there so I can keep track of my magazines. Because I was like, I need a checklist or something.
Yeah.
Why don't I just put the pictures up there, and then I'll have like a little website up there for me to be able to see like visually, okay, I'm missing this one, I'm missing this one.
Yeah.
And then from there, it organically turned into what it was, where even now I sell magazines, my duplicates on there, because I need to get rid of these ones that are not. I care about the collection. I don't care about the duplicates.
Yeah. As long as you got one
out here. Yeah. So it really, I've had it for a long time. That it's maybe 15, 20 years I've had that website. But just recently is where I've really put some effort into it, where I'm like, okay, let's get it out there and let people see it and enjoy it. And there's still a lot of work to do with it. I just, whenever I have free time, I'll do a little piece in there, drop something in there.
Yeah. What's like your goal for the next step of Rapzines? And like, do you see, like, obviously, thank you again for just including us, and thank you, Andrew, for just keeping the relationship. I didn't even know like what was going on. Andrew's just like, oh yeah, this is bro, and like, oh yeah, pull up to this exhibit, and like, yeah, literally
Hip-Hop Til Infinity.
Blessed Underground Magazine to be featured in the exhibit, and like, so that was just so dope to see you create like a part of an exhibit with all the magazines and have us included in there and stuff. Like, do you want to do something like that of your own one day, or like what do you want to do with your company one day?
I do. I want to do that. I'm working on a few things, but going back to that part about like even Underground Magazine, is one of the things that connected me with it in the first place was some of the artists that were on there I enjoyed, but they had never had a cover anywhere.
Yeah.
And for me, that's like a big thing too, is like to see somebody have a cover that I enjoy their music, but you don't visually see them anywhere.
Yeah.
So you know the music, but you don't really have him on the cover. Like, has he ever been on the front cover of a magazine? In my recollection, I've never seen him personally. Mm-hmm. But like, you don't see Zaytoven on Source Magazine or the new Double XL or something like that. An article, but not on the cover. So when I see somebody like AZ Chike on a cover, I'm like, oh, I'm bumping his music, but he will never be on the cover of a magazine.
Yeah.
And we had him early on, pretty early on. That was our issue 6, and like I was listening to his music heavily, and that's how we even just kind of knew of him to work with, or Rucci, all these different people. Yeah. Him, Lefty, Siete, Wally, we had all of them before They were on Kendrick shit. Like we happened to get Siete, like everything right before the Kendrick shit happened, and then the magazine came out after the Kendrick shit. So like we've been a part of a lot of really dope moments in hip hop, and like yeah, like we try to just be the eyes for like the underground scene to highlight who deserves it, and especially early on. Like now, like a lot of people want to be on the cover, so we have to be more selective and do things that make sense and all that, you know.
I mean, and that's exactly the whole point of everything of what I'm saying is that, like, that's why I mess with you guys. Like, I don't do this. I don't go to everybody and just be like, you know, let's do stuff. You know, I have to really feel it. I can't be fake about stuff. Yeah. You know, so I can't just be like, yeah, I'll go do it, but not really want to do it, if that makes sense.
Of course.
You know, you have to like have a passion for something. And so I really appreciate what you guys are doing, and that's why I'm here right now, actually, you know.
Thank you. I mean, we can't even explain the feeling that we got when we saw that up there, you know.
I mean, you guys deserve it. Like, who else is going to give a Chika cover, you know? So
I appreciate that.
Thank you, for real, yeah, because that was legendary to just be up on the wall, double XL source, like, helped us just remember that we can be just like them one day.
Let me ask you guys a question. So, like, when you guys saw that out there, like, what goes through your guys' head when you see your magazine?
Well, first off, we just knew also, too, you just said, oh, you guys are featured in here. We didn't know what it looked like. We didn't even know which magazine. And so we just pulled up. And if you remember, I'm sure you were there a bunch all the time, that mag wall is like the last bit. And so we're walking through the whole time. Like, I'm just like, like maybe we missed it. Maybe it's just in a drawer or something. Like, I don't really know.
We didn't know what to expect. And then we turned their corner and it's just like,
and we're like,
giant wall.
Is it on here?
Plus magazine.
But then still at that time, we all backed up. We're like, no way it's on here. And then we're like, no, I don't think so. And then one of us just spotted top right corner, which was an awesome spot because it allowed us to tell all our people, like, go to the exhibit. Like, we're in the top right corner. Like, really easy to say.
Well, if you look at it again in pictures, one of the things that they let me do that I asked them was to kind of chronologically move them this way. So all the newer artists had to be at the end. Yeah. Like, it started with, like, the early artists, and then it went this way.
That's cool.
So that's why it ended up on that side too, is because most of the newer artists would end up on the right-hand side. So you see the progression of all these magazines throughout the years from 1980 to 2023.
Wow,
correct?
Fuck, 43 years. There, so. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite or a couple favorite magazine covers that have been done by Source, XXL, whoever, over the years? Like, I know, like, Nas has had a lot of iconic covers with, like, The Firm, or just, like, any moments in hip hop where they've had like two people or something that just, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot, but like just off the top of my head, like Vibe had the Death Row cover where it's all black.
Yeah, that one is
just so iconic that you can't, like, every time you see it, it's just like, it is what it is.
You have those, obviously. I'm sure you got a couple of those.
I got a couple of them.
Is there like obviously with anything you collect, like baseball cards, everyone knows that Honus Wagner card, it's the card. Like, is there like the magazine?
That might be one of those right there, for real.
It's way up there.
The most expensive resale market, all that.
I wouldn't say the most expensive. It's weird because in the magazine market, the most expensive are the ones that are low production, like they didn't make a lot of. And it's impossible to find, but has something iconic on it. So, like, there's a few magazines I have that are like black and white, like pamphlets. Yeah. Those ones right there, there's not even a price you can put on them because I got them directly from the guy who produced it. And he's like, I made like 14 of them when I was in high school. So I gave them to friends and they just threw them away. But I kept one. So when you really think about it, that's the only one probably in existence right now. Yeah. So like something like that, I can't even really put a value on it because you're never going to see it again. Yeah. Unless you see it at my place, you know. But like something like that, those are like, I don't even know a price on them, but those are super valuable.
How do you like typically go about like getting magazines into your collection? Like, I'm sure it happens in a bunch of different avenues, but are you buying them? Are people just giving them to you at this point? It's just like a trusted archive source.
It's a little bit of everything. We were just telling a story out there about, I went to Las Vegas and a guy who's a rapper from Oxnard, he was like, you can come out and look at them, but I'm not selling them to you. I'm all right, that's cool. So I got off the phone with them and I was thinking, I'm like, man, there's no way I'm gonna pass up this opportunity because I saw he showed me pictures of them. I'm like, those are like really good magazines. I need to have those.
Yeah.
And off of a whim, I was just like, hey, I'll be in Vegas tomorrow. Can I go by and just look at them then? He's like, sure. You're gonna fly out here. Flew out there, went to his house, drank beers, listened to unreleased music, like some unreleased MF Doom stuff and like all this crazy stuff.
Sick.
And 3 hours later, I'm like, well, if you ever decide to sell them, let me know. He goes, you know what? You're cool. I'm gonna sell them to you. Next time, come over here in a U-Haul and you can take them. I said, no, I got a van that I borrowed. Let me just stuff them in there. I stuffed the entire van of magazines.
Damn, you got that many from him like that?
Yeah, and then I went to my brother-in-law's house. I say, hey, here's your van back. Hey, I need to go to the post office in the morning and ship all this stuff back to the
That's crazy.
But like stuff like that, I'll do. But I also have people who, like you said, would be like, man, I got all these magazines. I think you would curate them, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can have them. You just got to pay for shipping. I'm like, bring them.
Have
And then other people
sick.
like sell them to me. They're like, hey, I got these magazines, X amount if you want them.
Yeah.
And if it's something that I need or really want, I'll buy a collection.
Yeah.
Has there been like a horror story that you have of like a really good one that you spilled water on or just something crazy with it?
No, but I one time, luckily, I don't know if you've ever seen my page where I put everything in like plastic.
Yeah.
One time a fire extinguisher went off where they were at. And so, it gives off that white chalk that comes out. And it sprayed a wall of my magazines, but luckily they were in there. The only thing that got damaged was the sleeves that they were in.
Yeah.
No, I've been lucky enough where I haven't like lost anything like that.
Nice.
Really cool.
Yours are nice and protected. I got them. They're in a weird spot because they're in the U's.
Yeah.
Everything's alphabetical, so that big wall of shelf I have stops at S because I don't have no more space for that wall.
Right.
So they're on a sidewall right here. So T and U are up here. And they're right there. The crazy thing is because usually I don't get new stuff in the U section very often. Because first of all, there's not a lot of magazines that start with U except for one called like Undercover and some other ones.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys are pumping out magazines, so
a lot of them.
That thing's just like squeezing in there. I'm like, oh man,
we gotta
move to the S show.
Underground mags.
So
for real though.
So B, W, X, Y, and Z have to all shift all the time. Every time you guys make a magazine, so
we're gonna keep it going, bro.
Going.
We're doing a lot every year and pumping it out, and like we just appreciate being embraced by somebody like you who appreciates the culture and fucks with us. And I think something to just put on camera and put out, manifest into the world, like. Fuck, I would love to do a hip-hop museum with you one day somehow. However, we could help be a resource to do that and showcase what you've built and just come together as some hip-hop nerds.
Yeah.
Let's fucking do that.
We can.
Hold us to that. Blow up his page. Dubs in the chat.
For real, anyone that's not following Rapzines needs to get tapped in.
Facts, man.
Do you run it? Like, do you have a business part of it? Like, I know you sell some of the magazines. Like, that's not really the point of it, right?
I use it to, the funny thing is I do sell a lot of magazines on my site for a good price. I mean, they're below retail price, but it's not meant for that. I use it just as extra pocket change to do something more like a trip to Vegas to go buy somebody's collection. It's not something like I have really built that way. Like I said, everything has always been organic, so I've never really built it that way. I think if anything, my Instagram page itself was built to network and meet people like you guys and other people and connect with people that enjoy the same thing. That's really the purpose of it. But that's always a bonus. But no, I wouldn't say it's like really for a business, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Any last question I got for you? Anybody that you think deserves a magazine cover that Underground should do, or anybody, whether they're upcoming or bigger or just anything like that?
I think when you get artists from the Bay Area that come down here, because there's a lot of Bay Area artists that are popping over there. Yeah. But just in the Bay Area, you might hear them. But one of the things, I don't know if I was speaking to you guys about this, but somebody like The Boy.
Yeah, shout out to Boy.
He's actually been in the studio.
That's what I heard out there.
Yeah.
And he really is popping out there. Him, La Russell, Pilo, all those guys. Yeah. They deserve covers, and there's one magazine in that area that can't feature everybody every single time. It's called One World Magazine.
Oh yeah, shout out One World.
And
Yeah, we know
because
them.
there's not a lot that do it out there. You know, there's a couple, but like to really like put big artists on there, and those guys are people that I think really deserve to be on a cover. But I would say
Yeah.
somebody like The Boy.
Yeah. Shout out
Kilo's
DB
been
About a Bag as
legendary.
well.
Yeah, DB About a Bag.
Yeah, I'm in talks
any
with
of
them
those
about some
guys.
shit right now.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Even just a fucking Bay Area group cover, like in general with all of them legends. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
yeah, and
For
maybe
sure.
I can help you with like connecting some of this.
That would be
together, too,
awesome.
you know?
let's do it, bro. We got to start building and working more. We appreciate you making an effort to come out, be here,
For sure.
do the giveaway with us and everything. You know,
Mhm.
like this is a good partnership and keeps us rooted in like that old school hip hop, which I'm so passionate about too. So that's dope as
Heck
fuck,
yeah.
for
I
real.
appreciate it too, man.
I hope you stick around for the show. Are you planning on sticking around?
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
Yeah,
This will be your
dope
first
artist.
underground event you ever been to, right?
Yeah.
That's
All right,
sick.
we
Fuck
got to do it up. I appreciate you seriously for coming
Don't
through.
sit me way in the back somewhere.
Nah. We got you on
It's
stage
gonna be chill.
access.
Yeah,
On
it's
stage,
gonna be
you can
real
even
chill.
have a say if you want.
Nah, I'm good. No, never mind. I ain't even gonna bring that up. Man. You don't want to hear me on the mic.
Oh my
You don't wanna hear
god.
me on the mic. I heard my demo tape the other day. I
That's
have it on a
hilarious.
cassette tape.
Oh, nice.
Late 80s, early 90s, and I'm like,
That's crazy.
I don't want to burn it and get rid of the evidence, but I also want to keep it just because I don't know what to do with it. It's in the
Nostalgic.
safe spot.
Gotta
Nobody
keep
will
that.
ever
Let's
hear
get that
it. I don't wanna
remastered.
get rid of- Nah, man. No.
I still got my notebooks that I wrote lyrics in high school
I do too.
in my trunk.
Yeah.
Like 5, 6, 7 of them, bro.
So you were an artist as well.
Yes, but it was more of like just an
Sick.
inspirational thing to help. It was therapeutic for me at the time.
Yeah, it's
And it was actually, I was getting to a point where I was going to do some shows, but now that I go back, I'm like, nah, I wasn't fit for that. Like when I listened to it and stuff, I was like, I had the network to kind of do it, but I don't think it was my purpose in life to do that. I wasn't that good,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, we're glad that you just stuck with the magazines at the very least.
real,
For real,
My
Brian.
boy.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much
you
for
for real,
coming
bro.
out. Everybody that's at Rapzines, Rapzines. That's a really cool name, by the way. I always love that.
Facts.
Thank you, Brian, for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
For Underground, Andrew, Foxy, we out. Shout out Sonically Inclined. Let's
Facts.
go.